Computer hardware is expensive, especially new, but is there a cheaper way to get into PCs? Well, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. First, let's begin with the best value. Not necessarily the best performance, but tremendous value for your money. Starting us off today is the Intel Xeon E3-1220V3. This chip outperforms the Core i5-4570 and is only about 1 to 2% slower than a 4590. That's pretty good. But are you ready to get your mind blown? Then let's check out the prices. The Core i5-4570 is priced at around 54 to 65 euro, which is pretty reasonable, and the Core i5-4590 is priced slightly higher at 60 to 75. Meanwhile, the Xeon, ladies and gentlemen, E3-1220V3 is priced at an astounding 25 euro. That is, on average, 140% or 35 euros cheaper than the 4570. That's mind-blowing. It's also 180% or 45 euros cheaper than the 4590. And that is value, my friends. But let's say you're looking for a more powerful CPU. Don't you worry. The next one, which, spoilers, also happens to be a Xeon, packs one hell of a punch. But before we get into it, this video is brought to you by us and our Legion PC. The Legion PC features AMD's 3000 series APUs, 16GB of dual channel RAM, and the option to get it sent to you pre-overclocked. Yes, you heard that correct, we can overclock it for you. So go check the link in the description below to see our full 2021 lineup. Now, onto the video. The Xeon in question is the E5-2640V3. This is an 8-core, 16-threaded behemoth that shreds any other CPU anywhere near this price point, making it a perfect productivity and gaming CPU on the cheap. Let's compare this Xeon to some other 8-core rivals. For example, the AMD Ryzen 7 1700. This goes for about 110 to 150 euros. That's actually a really reasonable price, I'm not gonna lie. The Core i7 9700, well, because this was actually Intel's first consumer i7 with 8 cores, not counting the Extreme Editions. This i7 can be found anywhere between 280 euro and 400 euro. Yes, you heard me right. It's still going for up to 400 euro, which is extremely expensive for a CPU this old, and it doesn't even have hyper-threading. It's just 8 cores and 8 threads. Meanwhile, the Xeon, Mr. E5 here, is 67 euro, roughly, which is amazing for 8 cores and 16 threads. Now, the Xeon E5-2640V3 is around 4% faster than the Ryzen 7 1700. Yes, it is 4% faster than a Ryzen 7, and roughly 40% or 43 euros cheaper than the Ryzen. The Core i7 9700 is about 20% faster, which is honestly pretty impressive. But, well, how do I say this? Don't buy it, please. Please don't buy it. The pricing is ridiculous. On average, it's 385% or 258 euro more expensive than the Xeon. Is it worth being basically 4 times the price? No, it isn't. Please don't buy it, especially since the CPU isn't even new. The upgrade path isn't good. If you're gonna buy a CPU that doesn't have a good upgrade path, go for a cheap one like the Xeon. Now, you might also be thinking, why didn't I also put AMD's first 8-core on here? Because that would only be fair, right? Well, the reason is actually pretty obvious. If you know how those things perform, the FX8350 that is, it's abysmal. It's slower than the 4-core, 4-threaded Xeon, the E3, that I talked about at the start of the video in practically every possible way, and seeing as though the price of the E3 Xeon is under €30 most of the time, it's pretty obviously the better buy, seeing as though the FX 8350 chips go for about 70 to €150, which is really bad value compared to these Xeons. Now, you can find both of the before mentioned Xeons in motherboard bundles going for around €200 on AliExpress. That's for the expensive E5, and for the E3 you can find it for about $130. Now, these bundles come with 16 gigabytes of ECC memory, so here's an example of a good one. This is one that has been rated well and has received good reviews. Now, onto the graphics card section of this video. Now, the graphics card I recommend during this time of huge GPU demand is the Radeon R9 280 and the R9 280X. Two different GPUs, but the 280 and 280X are very similarly priced, and you might as well get the better one at the same price. So, the 280 non-X being the cheaper one, performs slightly worse, 280X being faster, and honestly, in my opinion, is just better value, because they are so similarly priced. If you can find one around the same price as a 280, get the X model. Now, I know this was a very brief look into the graphics cards because I've already made a full video going in depth about both of these cards, and I compared them to even another similarly priced graphics card. So click on the icon in the corner to check out that video as I go in depth about the differences between these cards and the other aforementioned card. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.